Let's talk about resilient strategies, and I've just broken them down one by one, line item. But the first one that came to mind for me, Neil, was that my concept, or the way I express, is decoupling from the grid. So you reduce your exposure to volatile prices by investing in infrastructure such as solar, wind, or any other modes that you could think of.
Yeah, and that's true, Wes, but also by converting over into electricity compared to gas, because though the grid is becoming more and more focused on renewables over time than the old coal and gas. As far as possible, go over to electric, and yeah, get those panels on the roof if you can afford it, batteries and so forth.
Which once again are going to reduce that finance risk exposure. Strategy number 2, fee, we've touched on it already, but I use flood affected for mental health. But once again, it's the planning and the discussions at board, just from a governance point of view, not an executive execution point of view. What's the approaches here to generate that resilience?
Exactly. Number 1, we've got really good board subcommittees. We need an integration of those committees to discuss such complex topics such as this. You need that finance, that risk and audit combined with your sustainability committees and your quality committees to discuss this together, because it's a reallocation of resources and you need to have a damn good reason why you're doing that. The other really important thing, Wes, and we're going to talk about this a bit more, is partnerships. And there's been a fabulous question in our line of questions about who is responsible for not just the emergency. We know pretty much who's responsible for that, but who's responsible for the follow-up bit. And we're going to talk more about that.
I will move on to the next one. And it's really, this was born of a conversation with our friends at Aon, Neil, where in particular, the schools and education sector, infrastructure is a big play. You're going to open up a new campus, you're going to upgrade facilities, all that sort of stuff. It's not just the heating and the cooling, but it's capital works programs. Where are you going to build in light of? So I was trying to cover 2 things in this slide in terms of the income sort of expense column, but the capital works being, are you going to set up a brand new gym and gymnasium and school, swimming centre on a floodplain or somewhere where you're going to be risk exposure? You would have had a lot of consultancies around this.
Yeah, for sure. A lot of organisations looking at this closely, what their risk exposure is at present, how they can mitigate that risk. And for some organisations, it might mean relocating. You look at those riverine areas in New South Wales I mentioned earlier, they will get future floods, and they may be more extreme than even the ones we've had. That huge adaptation, risk mitigation, that's got to be a focus now for a lot of organisations.